Hey kids, it's time to get some SML podcast all up in that.
What's up, everyone? This is the SML Podcast. I am your host, Joe. Another reviews episode lined up for you. A lot of cool games to talk about. We are kicking things off. Royal Sefton, you're here. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How you doing?
I'm tired. I slept like shit last night.
Yeah, me too, actually. I had to sleep in a little bit and get up at the crack of noon.
Doesn't that suck?
Yeah. There was my whole day of doing nothing off.
I woke up at this.
Man.
I woke up at this disgusting hour called 8 o'clock today.
Oh man, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it was brutal.
That's brutal. That's the middle of the night, man. Especially this time of year. My dogs decided that I had to wake up every hour, so I woke up at every hour roughly.
And how did they wake you up?
Well, so I have two dogs, and the little one will usually bark, and she has a high-pitched bark. She's a pug. And then the big one will kind of talk. She kind of sounds like somebody with marbles in their mouth. Not really a growl, not really a bark, just sort of talking. And I think she's afraid of the dark, so she needs me to take her outside to potty or something. I don't know.
Oh, boy.
So that's how they wake me up. Yeah, not digging it. But that's okay. That's okay. You know, she earns her keep and keeps the burglars at bay, so I'm happy. She's a good dog.
Good puppy.
Good puppy.
Oh, so do anything fun this weekend?
Oh, gosh, what did I do? It was so action-packed, I already forgot. I wish I were kidding. No, I didn't do anything fun this weekend. I played some games, I guess, and and we were doing some Halloween prep, and there was like a trick-or-treat at the zoo type thing, so fun with the kiddos, you know, all that good stuff.
Trick-or-treat at the zoo?
Yes.
Do you knock on, like, the gorilla pen, and the gorilla throws his shit at you?
That'd be too awesome. Good catch. No, nothing like that. No, it's you know, you kind of have all these different attractions, and they put lots of lights up, and there's this one area you go around this loop, and everybody's giving out candy, and so it's pretty cool. But there aren't a lot of animals that you can really see because it's dark, and you know, there's again all these bright lights that are kind of blocking your view of the animal pens anyway. So it's a little different, but it's still a good family event.
Harder to see the animals, so it's easier for them to escape and chase you.
Yes, that would be quite the scenario. I would love that. But no, nothing that wild and crazy. So it was, you know, typical parent weekend, I think.
I still love the idea of a monkey throwing shit at you as the treat.
I thought that was the trick. That's a very good impression.
I have problems.
Nice.
Anyway, you're here to talk about a couple of games. We should probably dive into those, huh?
Yeah, probably.
Before things get horribly further off topic.
Start talking about games with people flinging poo. Yeah, let's not.
Not people flinging poo.
Well, yes.
Monkeys flinging poo. It's a big distinction.
Well, yeah.
One is more
peculiar mashup.
One is more socially acceptable than the other.
Correct.
Anyway, speaking of throwing shit, I probably shouldn't lead off like that, huh?
Depends. I mean, they're both pretty good reviews, too, so, you know.
Good, so there's no shitty games to be thrown.
Not really, no. I'm not going to be flinging poo this time.
All right, how about this? Speaking of tossing things.
There you go.
Yeah, speaking of tossing things, the first game to talk about tonight is called NBA 2K Playgrounds 2, developed by Saber Interactive, published by 2K Games, released October 15th on Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and Steam for $29.99. NBA Arcade Action is back with NBA 2K Playgrounds 2. Pick your team, get ready to jam, and ball without limits. Royal, did you enjoy ballin'?
I'm always balling, baby. 2K. Yeah, no, I had fun with this one, and you know what? It's almost like you're doing game reviews with Rip Van Winkle and you invite me on the show, because most of my comparisons are from an era when I was like in high school. So I immediately thought NBA Jam. Yeah. And to me, NBA Jam is a very old game, and I'm assuming it. There's been a later iteration of it besides the previous NBA Playground. But yeah, it's conceptually to me the same kind of game. You have a 2-on-2 game. You've got the basketball players with these oversized heads, kind of cartoony-ish, caricature looking, and it's almost no holds barred. I mean, there isn't really a foul. You punch, you elbow, you knock the ball away from them. Can't really travel, but all the other stuff applies. And sometimes you throw a ball, it might actually catch on fire, but it didn't light the net on fire, which made me a little sad. Yeah, so you've got this back and forth 2-on-2 game, and you can get these power-ups through like a lottery system. You accumulate these points as you go on these streaks. You keep scoring. You build up that basketball thing in the corner, and then you get some random power-up. Whether that means you can freeze the basket or just punch right through them. It's arcade basketball, right? Yeah. I'm not real familiar with the more involved actual sports ball type games. So this was probably a better one for me to pick up in that regard, because I probably know about as much about any kind of sports ball as the oatmeal. And so, I might holler about how Piggers are going to go all the way this year, etc. But I'm not going to actually follow the game. But I recognize some of the names of the players you could pick. Scottie Pippen, of course, I know who Scottie Pippen is. But it's
I like how that was your go-to guy to name drop.
What's that?
I said I like how Scottie Pippen, of all players, was the guy you went to name drop. Like, it wasn't LeBron, it wasn't Shaq, it wasn't Kobe Bryant, it wasn't Michael Jordan, it was Scottie Pippen. That's right.
Well, he's one of the first character cards that I unwrapped when I started up the game too, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I know who that is."
So the card system is back from the first game. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. See, you can unlock these packs as you accumulate your coins or balls or whatever the money system is. I mean, I think one is a basketball, another one's a coin. Yeah, and you get these packs, so you get these random unlocks. Now, I personally didn't get far enough to unlock everything. I'm told there isn't a lot of duplication, and I did not witness any where you get two of the same or anything. I didn't see any of that myself. And folks who got farther in the game than I did had also made that observation. I got maybe 2 duplicates, and they unlocked a bunch of crap. That's pretty awesome. Obviously, the players span all kinds of different career timelines and points, so it's sort of like a fantasy pick of your 2 favorites. And they can even be from different teams, and you do your lineups. You unlock additional swag and gear, what kind of shoes they're going to wear, etc. Yeah, it's kind of got that. You're obviously paying up front for the game, so I can't really call it freemium, because you could theoretically buy additional currency, but as you play through the game, you obviously get the opportunity to unlock more stuff. And I don't see any reason why you would want to just throw a bunch of money at this when you would probably have a good time just playing to get through the, as many foil packs as you could, unlock as many players as you could, etc.
Yeah, it's more fun to earn it than to just buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've heard people complain about some games where where the economy is so unfavorable that you pretty much get frustrated and just want to throw money at it if you really enjoy the game, or you just say, this is impossible, it takes me forever to get what I need to continue, and I quit. and this is neither of those. As you level up the players, they grow in stats, and some are going to have their strong points and their weak points, presumably based on their career performance. I couldn't tell you myself, but whether they're better at 2 points, 3 points, layups, defense, any of that stuff. You level up these characters the more you play with them, and so you don't necessarily need to unlock every character in the game. It's just fun to have that variety. But there's also obviously not a story arc or anything. It's not like you're stuck at chapter 5 trying to level up a basketball player. No, you just play. So it's the perfect kind of game for that format, obviously.
Nice. It sounds really good. Do you have any negatives about the game?
I kept going to the same Santa Monica Pier almost every time I played. I feel like there's probably more variety in the backgrounds the further you get, but I didn't get to see a whole lot of that, which was kind of a bummer. And really my biggest complaint about the game is the tutorial. It has this area marked tutorial, and it's not a tutorial. It's a bunch of cards that tell you what you can do, but you don't get any interactive tutorial at all to get accustomed to the game. So I feel like that was just really phoned in. And if they had done an interactive tutorial, it would have been easier for me to really pick up and play. There were a couple things where I went, oh, crap, okay, now I don't see how I'm supposed to do this alley-oop, and they keep just like handing my ass to me on them. How do I do that? Go back to the tutorial. Oh, that's how I do it. Start playing. God damn it, I forgot already. I benefit from having that sort of kinesthetic learning, and I think a lot of players would prefer that too. So that's my biggest gripe, really. I just feel like the tutorial was really phoned in, and they could have done a better job of providing an actual playable tutorial instead.
Gotcha. My last question is, how is the AI? In the first game, it felt like the AI was just brutal. If you ever got any kind of a lead in the game, you would immediately start missing. The computer would start whipping your ass, scoring like crazy. It felt like they would become invincible, and there was nothing you can do about it.
You know what? It was a win some, lose some affair for me, and because this isn't really my forte, I felt like it was pretty fair. I didn't feel like it was formidable. I didn't feel like it was impossible.
That's good.
And part of it for me is you play the game by the numbers. I mean, the shooting mechanic is you hold down the X button, more or less, and you have to hold it down for just the right amount of time for a needle to hit the right point in this kind of a semicircle gauge. And it'll tell you the percentage likelihood that you're going to make that shot once you let go. And, if you are not interested in being flashy, that's a good way to help counteract the AI. They do some pretty crazy stuff, and it's really impressive. I managed a few slam dunks and a couple cooperative alley-oops with the AI's help. But in my own case, just some good 2-point shots, and I was able to stay ahead most of the time. Not to say that's a hack against the AI. It's easier to beat the computer if you are always making these boring 2-point shots and layups. But that seemed to be really effective. The risks you take are going to potentially have a greater reward, like 3-point shots. I don't think I actually ever got a single 3-point shot landed. Maybe one. But as you stay in close, you master your timing of holding down that X button to the right point in time. It is a very playable game. So I don't feel like it's brutal. I do feel like they definitely come out the gate swinging, though. First round was terrible. So it took me a little time to pick up how do you win? Well, again, play it by the numbers. Don't just tap X and make a half court shot. You're not going to make it. Even if you time it perfectly, you're not going to make it. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, overall, $30 on this one. What do you think of it?
I think $30 is a pretty good price, especially if you want to get a good couch game going. Depends on your audience. I personally don't care enough about basketball to really want to put that kind of money on it myself. But for anybody who is interested in a basketball game, this is very solid. I think it's a lot of fun. I think that if you have a group of people to play it with, it's even more fun. It's definitely the kind of game that I think benefits from a bit of trash talk, especially because you can, elbow and steal and all that other stuff, which I think is just awesome. So yeah, I think for $30, it's a very solid try it. Definitely.
Sounds good. I enjoyed the first one, AI aside. And I've been eyeing this one up, and I think I'm going to have to save my pennies and grab it. Yeah.
No, I think it's a smart buy, and that's a really good price too. considering it's a pretty top flight game with, good licensing, all that stuff. So $30 I think is a very reasonable price.
Awesome. Sounds good. Next game to talk about is called Farabel, developed by Frogames, published by Goblinz Studio and Frogames. It is on Steam for $9.99. Farabel is a turn-based strategy game where you start at the end of the story. Develop your cleverness, your strategic prowess, and your inventive...
Strategy.
I can't talk. It's too early for this shit. The dog agrees.
Yes.
And your inventive capabilities in order to survive. Royal, explain this because I sucked at it.
I keep wanting to call it Larabel because of the font, the way it's written, but Farabel. Farabel is it's a cutesy turn-based fantasy tactics type game. You control this king Sindor. I assume it's his wife, the High Priestess. It's not 100% clear to me. And a myriad of different units throughout each mission. I want to say there's 21 missions based on 21 days of war. And you start in the final battle. And Sindor has some very interesting capabilities, including the ability to kind of time travel, like rewind. So he can identify a unit, and this is up to 3 times per battle initially. He can identify a unit that takes its turn and then roll it back. And in rolling it back, any damage that was taken in the last turn would be undone. Any damage dealt, however, would be kept on the enemy unit, and they'd be returned to their original move point. So you could have a unit that attacks twice, for example, or a unit that's getting whooped. You can walk him back and say, "Oh no, get back behind this. You're okay now. Health restored, etc." The King's kind of a power unit and has counterattacks, multiple attacks per turn initially. And I'll get as to why I keep saying initially. You have the High Priestess, who's also a healer that can heal multiple units within a radius. I want to say like 5 hexes or something. And then you end up with different units like knights, archers, foot soldiers. They all have different capabilities. The knights can charge, and if they charge a straight line, they get a bonus to their damage. So by the numbers, it's just a solid hex grid turn-based fantasy tactical game with kind of cutesy blocky graphics. But the twist, besides the fact that you can of course rewind time, is the fact that your character, or rather the High Priestess, ends up rolling back time, and you end up playing the game in reverse chronological order. So you start on this last battle. Yeah, you start on this last battle, right? And during this last battle, you defeat this, I think he's blind, some kind of like unseeing ogre or something. You beat him. And then you're trying to cast the spell to reverse time in the first place your High Priestess is. And she's like, yes, I got it. And then all of a sudden, you get rewound to the day before. But you retain your consciousness of what's going on. Like, where the heck am I? You know how time travel screws up my memory? Oh, yes, well, this is when we found so-and-so mucking about in the woods. And, oh, okay. So it kind of explains to you what you're going through as you play. But the fun twist is you get into this war of attrition where with every level, you have to go down rather than up in power. Your main character, Sindor, you start walking back his abilities. You have to pick which ability or which ability point to take away with each turn or with each battle. So the goal, obviously, is to still have a playable main character when you get to the final battle at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, that's hard as hell. It is a tough game. It really ramps up as you go forward. And you start taking away the counterattacks or the multiple attacks. You start taking away the move points, start taking away the hit points, start taking away the attack points. And ultimately you have this king who, unfortunately, is just a husk of his former self, totally lacking in all those great abilities that he had in the first battle. And here you are just trying to eke by with almost no power. It's a very interesting concept. Very clever. I haven't seen a game that's done anything quite like that.
So a game that you get weaker as you progress through.
Correct.
That is really interesting.
I want to say there's that, what's it called? There's like a Fight Club simulator where your fighters only degrade over time after you initially. It's not the same thing, but it's kind of similar. It's like you invest in these power units and they just wear out over time, these characters, and you have to replace them eventually, replace your roster. Something kind of like that, but instead this is quite literally your main character, and because it's such a linear game, it's almost like a puzzle. You have to decide which things to take away first based on how hard it makes that next battle.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So the problem that I have with this plan, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this is a bad game. The problem I have with the strategy, though, is well, I mean, I look at a game like Final Fantasy Tactics or Disgaea, and you go in these other directions where you branch out, you create these more powerful groups or units. You sort of take on a unique angle on how to tackle a particular mission or a dungeon. Instead, you're going in reverse, and once that's it. There isn't really, this really advanced end game. It's more like, I hope I made the right choices to get where I did, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just different.
Yeah.
But if I think that because the core components of the game are that good, I feel like the potential of this game could yet be tapped if removing that linear, reduction of character, kind of self-war attrition type mechanic, and instead, building out additional campaigns or something. I mean, the game could really, I think, realize a sequel or something that I think would really refresh what's otherwise a fairly interesting, kind of whimsical and lighthearted sort of game world. The art's cutesy and blocky and all that stuff. So it's not like it's a, deathly serious, grim style game at all, too.
Yeah.
Fun, accessible, but hard as nails.
Well, overall for $10, what do you think of it?
For $10, I think you really can't go wrong with this unless you don't like turn-based games. I know they're not everybody's cup of tea because they might be a little tedious for you, but I feel like for $10, it's very reasonable. I have to give it a fairly solid recommendation. It's definitely a good try it style game at that price.
And even better, if by the time you're listening to this, you have about, 14 hours left. It's actually part of the Steam Halloween sale, I believe. It's down to $4.
Oh, at $4, that's almost insta buy. So because you'll get several hours of gameplay out of it for that.
Yeah, if you're listening to this when we launch the episode, chop, get on Steam and grab it while it's cheap.
Yeah, because you'll definitely get your money out of it at 10. So if it's down to like $4, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Oh, Royal, always good having you on chatting about these things. Do you have any final thoughts to sum it up?
Just bantering. Flinging poo. Usual.
The usual. Oh, man. Moving on. Pernell Vaughan, you're here. How are you doing?
We just wasted 10 minutes talking about Sheetz and boiled peanuts. I'm great. How are you?
What the people miss behind the scenes of this awful show.
It's a fantastic show.
But basically, yeah, Sheetz is amazing. Wawa can suck a dick.
See, that's the crazy. See, now, I'm never going to say, well, there are some places that I can say this too. Like, I'm not going to just outright just say Sheetz is atrocious. I would never say that.
Well, because you've never been there.
No, true, I haven't. But if I had and still preferred Wawa, I would not. I still prefer Wawa. I doubt I would disparage Sheetz, especially considering how much praise you heaped upon them. They have to have something sweet going on there, which means that in the end, it's like there can be room for two. Like, imagine, I feel like the sweet spot would if they both existed. Like, if I want some fries, I'm going to go to Sheetz. If I want a freaking, like, mashed potato, turkey, chipotle ranch bowl, I'm going to go to Wawa. I can get a little bit of both. And they both get done very quickly. And I can get gas while I eat. It's just, It's the sweet spot, the best of both worlds. Or we can have a Sheetz. And it's just like, whoa, fuck everything.
Sheetz.
Sheetz. It would be great. Waluigi would exactly. Waluigi would be in the bucket, making tons of money.
Lord. You got to visit up here, Pernell, and then you can finally go to a Sheetz, and we can show you what all the hype is about, and then you can be like, yeah, this place is pretty good.
I can be like, it be how it be, though. You know, I'll be saying, yeah, full circle.
More stuff that no one else knows what the fuck we're talking about.
That's why it's worth doing.
Oh, Jesus. Anyway, you're here to talk about a game. We should probably take care of that, huh?
I suppose.
Might as well. The next game to talk about tonight is called Party Hard 2, developed by Pinokl Games and Kverta, published by tinyBuild, released October 25th on Steam for $19.99. It's 3 a.m. and you just want to get some sleep. Welcome back to Party Hard. Stop parties using hundreds of new ways, incidentally destroying a drug syndicate, and save the Earth from an alien invasion. May the chickens be with you. Pernell, please make some sense out of that, because I am lost already.
Well, honestly, I'm not so sure that I could either, because this game is awesome but weird. So you pretty much nailed down the primary gist of the game. You are a serial killer who has been brought to his murderous ways by way of insanity and a desire to go to bed. Strange. I wouldn't expect it to be fun. But lo and behold, it's an arcadey slasher that gets the job done. So,
did you play the first one?
I did not, which makes this even better. The fact that I'm coming into this with fresh eyes. But the way this worked is like you pretty much start out, you can choose from a variety of serial killers, not too many. Like you start out with the option of 2, one being the normal party hard killer, and the other being like a guy who is meant to be easy mode, and the game makes very certain to tell you it's easy mode by kind of have like a little bit of a slightly mocking description and say you can do this for the story and all, but no achievements, no trophies, and just generally no challenge whatsoever. So as you can probably guess, I couldn't bring myself to use that even for a review. But things that he does get is like he gets like infinite stamina, which would be a big thing for making the game easier. So the way this game works is you end up in different locations. Each location gets stranger and stranger as the game progresses, and they all have one thing in common. People are partying there. This has to be the most hopping town in America, and I can understand why this guy became a serial killer as a result of this. This is just too damn noisy. But anyway, he shows up to each of these environments, and he goes on a murder spree. The idea being to do one of 2 things in the level. Either A, kill everybody, or B, and this is more for people like me, at least early on, they give you very specific targets. So, for example, one level might say kill everybody, and there's 73 partygoers, or it might say kill these 8 guys and these 3 drug dealers, and that's it. And it also may have some secret objectives too, or like objectives that you'll knock out earlier in the game, like just by doing weird things. Like I had on the first level, not the first, I'm not just one of the levels. You could call you see a poster, and when you look at the poster, there's an advertisement for like a party bear, and you can call a phone number, and the bear will get dropped off, and he just does what a bear does. He parties.
Oh hell yeah, the bear's back.
Yes, party bear, baby. And not just party bear, there's all kinds of weird stuff that happens. I like the fact that all the environments are randomized. Like the map layout itself is very structured, but the party goers you see and where different obstacles or like things that you can use to kill and hide bodies, a lot of times those will be randomized. But that makes it so that no 2 experiences are genuinely the same. Like you can kind of come into a level with an idea of like, okay, I'm going to blow these speakers out or whatever, which I'll get into in a second. But you can never truly have the entire layout down to just do like a speed run of a level. You have to pretty much think on your feet for the game, which is cool. So how do you kill these partygoers? Well, you have your trusty blade, which you can use to pretty much walk up to and murk anybody you want. Well, not anybody. Funny enough, there are certain characters that you cannot kill. Like orderlies. If you try to stab an orderly, he'll pretty much punch you and knock you out. That's like the hospital level. Or there's like police officer where if the police catch you, obviously you can't kill the police with your normal weapon. And an odd person I couldn't kill on one level, a janitor. I tried to stab the janitor and she beat the shit out of me with a mop. But very odd things like that, man. But you can kill them with your knife. You can kill them by setting off different traps around the levels, and the game does not tell you what these are. Like, you will get a prompt if you walk up to it that says, hey, do this. But you won't know visually without a certain technique, which I'll talk about also in a second, You won't know off the top of your head that you can kill guys with certain objects. You kind of experiment and go, oh, this does it. Boom. Oh, shit. In addition to that, they added a crafting system where you can sometimes combine two things, like the most obvious being a beer bottle and a gasoline can to create a Molotov cocktail, which you can then throw and wallop cats.
Nice.
Now, when you kill different people, you want to make sure that you are not seen, because if you kill a person and someone has you within eyesight, they will run away and call the police on you specifically. You can try to give chase, but your guy, I guess he's been really lacking in sleep for a long time because his stamina is trash and he ain't catching nobody. So basically, if they run away and call the cops are going to be coming to the party looking for you. And I have come to notice that outside of random events, the police are pretty hard to evade, though it has like a sort of GTA-esque meter where if you can stay away long enough, they'll walk away. Good freaking luck with that. But if you say kill a person and leave the body on the ground, if someone comes across the body, they'll call the cops, but it won't be on you. It'll just be the cops walking around looking for suspicious activity, in which case you'll have to kind of lay low until the cops leave. Though I've had a couple funny moments where the cops will show up and then something weird will happen at the party and the cops will arrest the wrong person and walk away, which has been pretty entertaining to see that kind of thing happen. The game itself, I mean, I practically described the whole freaking thing that fast, but I cannot, stress enough just the level of humor that comes from a lot of stuff that happens, like the certain dialogue pips that characters will say as you're walking around the party. I had one moment where I'm pretty positive it was the Terminator who just like showed up through a portal and beat the tar out of me because he was like, I was protecting that human, and he just kills me. And the fucking Terminator killed me. It was amazing. And there's a lot of other wacky cameos and weird stuff like that. That's like, obviously, someone will be like, you just spoiled the game. It's like, I spoiled one out of like maybe 50. It's not a big deal. The point is, you're looking forward to some pretty awesome cameos. Now, the one downside I came across that I noticed, though it may have just been me being inept at the game, is every once in a while you'll come across like a thing that says, press A to hide the body. And, of course, you would figure that means you need to be holding a body and then walk up to it and press A to hide the body inside. However, there's been times where I was carrying a body, walked up to it, and I didn't get the prompt. And there was a couple other times where I'd be walking around with the body in my arms, and it's like, press B to lift body. I'm like, but I'm holding a body. So I'm not sure if it was like maybe like something that needs to get patched, or if maybe I confused the game in such a weird way. But there were a few times, nothing that broke the game, mind you, but there are a few times where I noticed that the button cues either didn't do what I expected them to do, or really didn't do what I expected them to. So, but the game has a very arcadey feel to it because you can chain combo murders. Again, since the levels are slightly randomized every time, you can kind of go in and see how well you can do on the fly to get like a high kill score. And that's something you do want to do also, because the way you unlock new tools and new killers in the game is by performing kills in different ways. Like you can do like either do say just like straight up, well, I shouldn't say kills, but doing different things. So, for example, if you just flat out kill a guy, you'll add to something like basically it's a meter, it's like for brutal killings. It's a killing meter. If you fulfill either a certain stealthy task, such as, I don't know, instead of killing a guy, sneaking past him, you'll add to your stealth gauge. And there's like an arcane gauge, and there's one other gauge whose name is currently eluding me. And these are all based around different actions you can do in the game. They all have points attributed to them. And when you make certain milestones on the meters, you'll get an unlock. So it's kind of something that incentivizes you to keep killing.
Always keep killing.
That's right. ABK. Always be killing.
Pernell, you have such a way with words sometimes.
Oh, shuck, bury that truck.
So I'm hearing a lot of glowing review about the game. Do you have any kind of negatives or problems with it?
Aside from those earlier comments about the blippiness or whatever, about sometimes the button keys weren't doing what I wanted them to do, I don't really have any, because I feel like the only complaint I would have been like, I wish he could breathe better as far as when he's running away. But that's what that other guy is for. You're not meant to run away a lot. You're meant to be stealthy and sneak around and kill guys without being seen. Oh, and worth mentioning also, I'm not sure if this was in the original game or not, but there is an attack you can do where if you hold down the trigger, it kind of creates a red radius around the character, and then he kills everybody in the range of him. But I think you can only do it like once or twice per stage, because usually after I've done it once, I'm dead before it recharges. So I don't know. In addition to that, there's like I guess murder instinct, where if you hit the other one of the bumpers, it does like a sort of, I'm trying to think of other games that do this, but essentially it covers the screen with like a bit of like a radar, and you can see different things you're allowed to interact with, like breakable containers that have items in them or murder objects maybe. But essentially it gives you an idea to say, okay, here's what's going on the map. Here's what I need to focus on trying to access to do things with. But I can't, aside from the button queue thing and the me being lame about the stamina, I honestly can't really think of anything. The game is pretty solid.
Awesome. Then $20 on it. What do you think of it?
I think it's a buy it, as long as you're okay with the fact that you're playing as a cartoon serial killer. Well, actually, he's not even cartoony. He's just, pixely.
I'm very much looking forward to the console release of this one. I love the first game. I can't wait for the second one to hit consoles as well.
Oh, is it getting one? Have they announced it?
I believe so, and if not, I sure as shit hope so.
You and me both, because I would definitely play this on console, too.
Me too.
Serial killer combat. We had Friday the Night Murder Puzzler. You got Party Hard 2. Andrew WK would not approve, but the game's still cool.
So now your next bit of homework is to play the first game.
When I get good luck finding the time for that, though I would like to. Because, oh my God, the season's in full swing. I'm playing every damn thing under the sun right now. It is busy work.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit coming out.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And stuff that's been out. I'm still playing Dragon Quest XI. Still.
I can't get over the music.
I haven't found it to be bad, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not really popping and bopping to it. There's a tournament area in the game where the battle music from Dragon Quest VIII is in it, which I thought was pretty cool. Like I was fighting, I was like, oh, that's the Dragon Quest VIII battle theme. I like this track.
That's cool. Anyway, Pernell, always good having you on, chatting about video games. Good to hear that Party Hard turned out to be really good. So do you have any final words to wrap it up?
Just, hey, check out I think it's 1 week to go at the time this episode releases for my Extra Life charity run. Drop some money, make me suffer for money for a good cause. In addition to that, I don't think I really got much else. Just stay warm and don't die. It's cold, bitches.
All right, moving on. Finally, we got Chris Taylor joining us. Chris, how are you doing?
I am doing great at last.
At long last, after minutes of problems with Skype and Discord, we are finally talking.
Yes, I know. It's nigh on an hour of Skype not loading, so we had to switch to a service that I would normally consider inferior, but Discord's got it right now.
I've never been a huge fan of Discord. I don't get it. I think I'm getting too old.
It's true. There's a conspiracy for programs to change so radically and become so dumbed down that us people who had to deal with like Windows 3.1 will just eventually our brains will just plateau into this complexity that, that everybody else is just going to move right past.
I keep saying, I just want ICQ back.
Right? Let's get it back. Hashtag ICQ.
Bring it back. Hashtag ICQ. Uh-oh.
For whatever reason, Discord uses hashtags and ats. I don't understand that aspect of it.
I don't know. It's going to be a learning process.
Yeah. But it works. That's better than Skype.
Which is not working right now.
No, completely not working.
Although I just noticed I'm getting a very minor echo coming back towards me.
Oh no. I'm using closed headphones. There should not be an echo.
I don't know. Maybe it's just bleeding out a little too... I don't know. Who fucking cares? No one listens to this show. Nobody gives a shit.
Damn. We've gone from technical issues to existential crisis.
That's how to do it, man.
That's podcasting for you.
Very true. But we should probably talk about games. You got 4 to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
First one is called SkyTime, developed by Six Bobs, published by Sometimes You, released November 5th on the Switch and PS4 for $2.99. In SkyTime, you are a scientist who lost their family in an avalanche and are trying to get them back. You create a time machine, but it was missing one key component, a reactor core to power it. You stole one from the evil private military company, Mortech, and are now being chased. Can you outrun them? Chris, what is SkyTime?
I feel like, okay, so especially seeing them side by side in my Switch menu, I feel like SkyTime is the kind of game that exists to fool parents or grandparents who their kid asked for Skyrim, and they were like, "I got the game that you wanted," and they're like, "No, it's SkyTime, not Skyrim." but it was only $3. It's just as good. So, but obviously that situation wouldn't happen with this game because it's download only. I just wanted to make that joke.
I understand.
So SkyTime is a first-person sort of run and jump and manipulate time kind of game. Reminded me a little bit of Mirror's Edge, especially since it takes place entirely on rooftops. But like Mirror's Edge by way of, I guess, I don't know, what's a I guess Max Payne or something? What's a game where you go into bullet time?
Yeah, Max Payne.
Yeah, it's okay. So it's Mirror's Edge mixed with Max Payne, but the actual so it's first person. You play a pair of hands that are in front of the camera, and one hand is holding a stopwatch, and the other hand is holding a wrench, good old pipe wrench, and you run across the top of buildings and futuristic, I suppose they're cars or some kind of transport platforms that are just kind of floating in the air. And you gauge your jumps. Basically, if they're too far out, then you click on your left shoulder button and hit that stopwatch, and then time slows way down, and then you can sort of make your jumps longer because it doesn't really slow down. Everything doesn't slow down all at the same time. Other things slow down more than you. So in that sense, the physics become where the slowing down time allows you to travel farther, rather than, everything just going slower. So, but at the same time, you won't, the way the physics work isn't quite real, so it's like you can't quite jump high enough to get clearance that way. And if you fall, of course, you have to start the stage over. And it's one of those where you will fall a lot and you just get free tries forever. No problem.
Yay for free retries.
Yay. So that's how that works. So it's basically jumping from platform to platform. Now every stage has enemies in it, and at least in the first few levels, because I didn't play through all the 10 levels of the game. There's exactly 10 levels. And I know because every time you beat a level, it makes your total completion go up 10%. So unless it's like a Castlevania style thing where there's a hidden like 28% more, then it's just the 10 levels. But the enemies are largely just turrets that fire roughly 3 bullets on you if they see you. And that's about how much it takes to kill you. So you throw the wrench, and it is, I don't know why this is, or it's not really touched on in the game, but the wrench is a boomerang. So it goes straight out in front of you and then straight back. And also, if you just push the button again, it'll just instantly put it back in your hand. So if you miss through it, then you can just do it again. I haven't used many wrenches that work that way, but that's the kind of wrench you get in this game.
Hey, works for me.
Yeah, and that's literally it. I mean, it's just running and jumping and throwing a wrench and trying to get through all these levels without dying. And that works, for the game as far as it being simple and straightforward and to the point. The one thing I would have liked in this game are any kind of options, because the one option I would have looked desperately for is the invert x-axis.
Oh no.
It is forced, where down makes you look down and up makes you look up.
No.
I know. That is the bane of my existence because I do inverted axes. That is the only way I operate.
That is the only way to play.
Exactly. So fortunately, this game doesn't really require a lot of looking up and down, but, it just so happened that every single time I had to completely stop the action and, force myself to figure out, all right, down is down and up is up. It's not inverted. And that got me through a few levels. So, it's one of those things where it's like it would have made the experience much better to have that option, but it's not exactly like it's a massive game. So, it's a take it or leave it, but that is a fair warning to people who play first-person games exclusively with inverted x-axes.
Yeah, that is definitely a good warning because I'm an invert player myself, and just trying to play normal doesn't work with my stupid brain.
Exactly, yeah. But I'll offset that with one prop that I really like, is that the game appears to be pretty minimal on music. It's just got this one tune that is kind of plays in different ways throughout the game. What I really like is when you're in time slowdown, it also slows the soundtrack down, like Inception style.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, I like that. So props for that. And also for the voice acting in the intro. It clearly is just one person doing it, basically probably like we are right now, just over Audacity. But I don't know. I found the intro charming. So even though it doesn't tell you anything about the game, it just shows the guy and it shows his family disappear. I guess in an avalanche. I couldn't tell that that's what happened. And then he's just like, I gotta find him.
Dun, dun, dun.
Then the game starts.
Nice. So overall, $3 on it. What do you think?
$3. I say it's a fun little romp. The action, the controls, it's going to remind you a lot of Hello Neighbor in that it's kind of squishy and all over the place, but it is playable. It's a game with its own charm, and I mean, you can't really ask for too much for $3. So I can't really dock it anything except that they could have easily made inverted x-axis controls, and I really wish they would have. So I'm going to give this a try it, but it was well done for $3.
All right. Hopefully they patch in invert.
That would be great. Or, sometimes you get on your devs about this.
Like, hey guys, listen.
I feel like I've had to complain about a Sometimes You product before because of a similar issue, but I can't remember, so I'm not gonna pursue the point any further.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Invert x-axis, it's a rule. Do it, people. I can't go from 600 hours of Skyrim, actually 630 hours. I found out today. I can't go from that to a few hours of not having that.
That is insane amount of time in Skyrim.
Yeah, well, I got everything, so it's all good now.
All right. Well, next game to talk about is called Word Sudoku, developed and published by Lightwood Games, released October 23rd on PS4 and Vita for $7.99. It's Sudoku with words. Place letters in the grid according to normal Sudoku rules. In one row or column will spell the word. Of course, you could switch back to number mode if you prefer. Word Sudoku by Paugi includes 240 unique and beautifully symmetrical word Sudoku puzzles, graded for difficulty from beginner to expert. Chris, now that we know that it is Paugi, what do you think of it?
Yeah, it's another Paugi product, which I just talked about last time. One, I actually didn't know you could switch to numbers. If that is an option in the game, they certainly didn't make it super obvious, but I guess I just didn't look because I'm used to Paugi just being like really, really simplistic. Like, here it is. You gonna do it? All right, cool. Let's get started. So this is a game it is Sudoku with letters. Now, the thing is, and they talk about normal Sudoku rules. I ran into the same issue with Hot Gimmick, Cosplay Jung a couple of episodes ago, in that I don't know how to play Sudoku. So,
really? I thought you knew.
No, I have no idea. So,
did that not cross your mind when I was like, hey, Chris, do you want to play a game called Word Sudoku? Gee.
It did, and I was like, hey, I learned how to play Mahjong in like less than a week. I can learn how to play Sudoku. People who don't even know how to use Skype can play Sudoku, so I knew I could do it.
I love it.
Yeah. Now, here's the cool thing. Paugi has your back. They actually do teach you how to play the game. So massive props to them. I learned in just a few minutes how to play Word Sudoku. So I just can't say that I can't relate it to a typical Sudoku experience because I don't have any. However, I can say that, so this is a game that basically it's, 9 grids of like, 3x3 sort of things. So you've got, 3x3 and then 3x3 of those, right? And across one line, you can spell out the word that they give you. It's a 9-letter word. So we're going to say, for example, welcoming is the first level. So, as soon you basically just have you have all the letters of the word over there on the side. And you just go through and, choose a square and populate it with a letter. And, the first line, at least for the first few levels, will be pretty obvious that you can just spell it. And then the rest of the time, you're going to basically use that as a basis, along with other random letters that are already filled in, to fill in each of the 3x3 grids with each one of the letters of the 9-letter word. Now, you can't repeat a letter on either grid, the x-axis or y-axis. So you can't use W twice if it's in a straight across line, and you can't use W twice in the 3x3 grid. So it's basically kind of a process of elimination where you find the squares that have the most letters populated, and then you just kind of like guess on that one, and then as you go, you sort of find out what your mistakes were, whether you need to switch some letters around. The game has a very handy and free to use, does not penalize you for using this. It has a checker. So if you push both of the the shoulder buttons, it will tell you whether you've made a mistake or not. And you can have it erase your mistake. It won't give you the correct answer, but it will erase your wrong letters. So it's very, very user-friendly, like everything that Pogi does. And
Paugi.
It
is Paugi.
Paugi, sorry.
I have been told via email. It is Pow, like Batman punching someone. Pow.
Paugi. I'm sorry, developers. I'm sorry for messing up your made-up word.
Maybe it's a company. We don't know. We can't judge.
No, I don't. It's Paugi. If they say it's Paugi, it's Paugi.
Exactly.
So, like other Paugi games, this one is super accessible, and you don't need to know Sudoku to actually play it. Now, as opposed to the word puzzles game that we talked about last week, this one does not have a huge variety of different ways to play. As soon as you start the game, it just takes you right to the puzzles. However, like Paugi games, this one has a lot of puzzles, and so anybody who is interested in doing Sudoku, but I'm going to go ahead and say more accessible way, because, letters are friendlier than numbers to me, just because I'm not much of a math person, and so I found this to be a lot less intimidating than a standard game of Sudoku. And just as challenging. I sat there and chewed on a couple of puzzles for quite a long time, and it was very enjoyable. Oh, also to confirm my suspicions from last week, actually, yes, they do pretty much reuse their entire soundtracks. Because I had the songs fresh in my mind when I started this up, and then when I did and heard the familiar tracks, I was like, oh, okay, so this is just how it goes. But it was good for me because I actually played it with the music off while my roommate was like getting ready for a party and had, house music going. So that was great. This is a game that does not demand all of your attention, and it's really good in portable mode because you can play it pretty much anywhere you are.
And I would imagine touch screen works well.
Well, I mean, I reviewed this on PS4 and I didn't download it on PS Vita. I can only assume it does because it's built exactly like all the ones that are on Switch. I
keep forgetting that the Vita has Catherine's account on it, and you basically have to pick and choose.
And I'm lazy.
Yeah, that too.
So yes, you do get the Vita version when you purchase the PS4 version. So they're plenty generous with that. And I am used to the Switch thing where it's like don't even have to worry about cross-playing.
Yeah.
And so many of the games I review on PS4 now are cross-play with PS Vita, so that's nice.
You got to figure something out with the Vita. You're missing out on so many games on that thing.
I know. I will.
Anyway, word Sudoku, $8. What do you think?
$8. This is a worthy entry in the in what is becoming a very rich tapestry of excellent word puzzle games from Paugi. which is a company I always look forward to playing their games. So do pick this up for $8. Even if you're a complete Sudoku noob who doesn't have the patience or wherewithal to learn the proper game, I mean, this could be your way in, because you can spell a word, right? I mean, they show you the word.
Usually I could spell words.
Yeah. And
There's
I mean,
some
you know,
tricky ones out there.
Yeah. It's a great alternative to, you know, the typical like crossword or word search or whatever. So
nice.
Yeah, get this one. It's good. Hearty recommend.
Sounds good. Next game to talk about is called Swap This, developed and published by Two Tribes. Released November 2nd on the Switch for a whopping $1.19. You may have matched colors before, but never like in Swap This. To master this puzzle game, you need real skills, quick wits, and tactical thinking. In no time, you'll orchestrate screen-clearing chain reactions and use supercharged power-ups. Chris, what is Swap This?
Swap This. Okay. So when you look at this game, the first thing that crossed my mind as soon as I saw it is I was like, oh, this is like one of those games that eats up all your tokens at the arcade, but it promises like big ticket payoffs and stuff. Like those little like fishing games or whatever, things like that, where it's just like everybody plays it because it has the best payoffs, but it's not really like a game. It's just a thing, a diversion. Fortunately, though, when I actually started playing this, it turns out it is a game.
Yay!
Yay! So the plot of the game, such as it is, there's no plot. I'm just kidding. But a bunch of fish and various sea creatures are trapped in ice blocks, and they show up on your screen as in a grid, of course, because they're blocks, and you basically can swap any two that aren't a spiky sea urchin, because those are hazards. But you can swap any two tiles in order to get 4 matched up. So when 4 tiles or more are touching, they will disappear off of the map and then get repopulated by something else. So because this is singular, this is meant to be played on the touch screen, you cannot play it with the Pro Controller. It will either have you play it in portable mode, or you can disconnect the Joy-Con and use it as a wand. And you don't want to use it as a wand because this game gets really fast, and actually having the tactile play style is a big benefit. But if you just want to play it with like a Pro Controller or something like that, like I always do, then you're out of luck. However, so you play this on, let's say you're taking me up on that and you play it on the touchscreen. So because it's singular input, the way you chain together combos is that you match up 4 and then find 4 more to match and just match up another 4 before the first 4 disappear. Like they kind of wobble around for about a second and then disappear. And so, it's a way that you can play this is to basically set up a whole bunch of sets of 3 and then trigger them all like in a row. And that will get you like a whole bunch of points. And the cool thing about it is that this game has a lot of modes. So you've got your standard stage by stage kind of just match up enough and you move on to the next stage. You can do a wave thing where it's just basically unlimited, but there's a general timer that goes down, and if you stop making combinations for a while, that timer will reach 0 and then it's game over. And the game is very friendly about your game overs. They'll be like, well, you didn't get a high score, but you did get this many points. Yay! And then there's so proud of you. Way to go, honey. No, that's an in joke. I'm sorry. So there's actually also a mode called Fish Fight, which I found to be very challenging. So basically, there's a predator fish that is coming after your frozen fishies. And if you match up combos, it shows it to the left. It pushes the fish down to the bottom. And if you push them all the way down to the bottom, then that fish is defeated and you win that level. And then the fishes just get harder and harder. So you just don't want them to float at the top. So it's kind of like a versus mode. And yeah, by the time you get to like 4 levels in on that, you're really whipping those things around. So this game actually, for the fact that it's just that the gameplay is literally just match 4 and you're, that's all you do, it gets surprisingly deep and very challenging. So, past that, I mean, there's also a puzzle mode where you have to do it in a certain order in order to clear every fish off the thing. It's, a very popular puzzle game trope is to have the actual puzzle mode where you have to sit there and think about exactly what to do. And that was actually pretty challenging too. They came up with some creative setups there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So for $1.19, what do you think?
I think they're undercharging. I mean, $1.19, God, just get it. Like, this will be a great game to just load up sometime and just start matching fish up. Now, the only downside I can give this game, really, is just the fact that it's pretty locked into, like, that whole, you must play this in portable mode. So if you're one who, let's say you don't have a screen protector, or you just don't play your Switch in portable mode, in which case, what's wrong with you? Then, this game isn't going to give you much satisfaction on the television. So, that's really the only downside. And $1.19, God, it's fine. It's a good game. Go get it.
It's almost free.
It's almost free. Yeah. You can, like, if you, like, put, like $10, credit on your eShop credit and then buy an $8 game, like a Paugi game, this will be your change. You'll have enough to buy this game after you purchase an $8 game. So there you go.
That's a good way to look at it. Buy a Paugi game. So get Word Puzzles by Paugi for $7.99, and then swap this with the rest of your credit.
And you got enough games to where you can, like, this is a game you can hand to, like, a 3-year-old and be like, here's how you do it. And they'll be like, oh, I can do this. So, like, and I, a 30-year-old, quite enjoyed it. So I would have bought this for $1.19 easily.
Oh, I love that age.
30.
30. I, as well, am 30 years old.
Yeah, we all are.
Oh, man, my back hurts. Anyway, final game to talk about tonight is called BRAWL, developed by Bloober Team, published by QubicGames. This one's available on the Switch for $9.99. Step into the darkness of the Emporium with 8 unique characters, each with a rich backstory and a surprising plot twist. Fight your way to the end using different play styles, from pure brutality as a wrestler to hiding in the shadows as an elusive thief. Are you ready to face your darkest fears with a bomb in your hand? Chris, what's BRAWL?
If I had a bomb in my hand, that would be my greatest fear. Right?
Yeah.
All right, anyway. So, BRAWL. This is an interesting one. So it's, of course, given the, you can just look at the splash screen, and you will see that this is a game for horror aficionados, people who like the grotesque, people who like edgy, dark things, especially macabre, like stuff like, they say, these 8 characters and such, but actually, if you're playing through story mode, you start with only 4 characters and you have to unlock the rest. You also you only have one difficulty option initially, and it's the novice, beginner kind of thing, monkey, if you will, if we're talking Psycho terms. And you have to unlock the 5 difficulty levels that are ahead of it. So clearly this is a game meant to be played over and over again. So the presentation of it is basically a top-down, somewhat isometric, fixed screen type thing where you move around a grid. And in fact, your character they were nice enough to make the tile underneath your character light up as you move. So that gives you the potential to be very precise. And the rest of the setup is very like Bomberman. So you have boxes that can be exploded by bombs, which once you pick up a bomb, you have free bombs. And if you pick up a second bomb, you can lay 2 bombs at the same time. I shouldn't have to explain Bomberman to you, so let's just say most of the things that are in Bomberman are in this game. Now, to deviate from that, some of the characters play very differently. So, your initial character, the first character on the left, which, I just played from left to right until I couldn't anymore. is a sad clown. Literally, that's what they're called, sad clown. And in fact, the narrator, who insists that he is just a disembodied narrator who is evil.
As they all are.
Yeah, he basically spends like the whole narration like mocking the clown, and like it gets actually kind of pathetic in a way that, like, you know, you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to feel very sorry for this twisted little demon clown thing. But you know, the narrator has a different approach to talking about each of the characters. So the next character, you know, the clown plays very straightforward. But then the next character is a blind little girl with a very evil looking teddy bear on her shoulders. The teddy bear is armed with a knife and can knife down things. But actually it also throws the knives in a straight line, and that can paralyze enemies for like a second. And then when you throw bombs, you actually throw them and then kind of teleport towards them. The narrator actually is just as confused as you are, which is really funny. The game gets a little bit meta. It's like, how did that girl get this teleportation device thing? I don't even know. I'm just a disembodied evil voice. You'll either love or hate the narrator. I personally loved him, so it's but he will be there, so you got to get used to him. And anyway, so you know, the characters go on and each one has a little bit of a twist. There is a way that you can play as all of them initially to see which one you like the most, which, by the way, the locked up characters include a mime who looks terrible, Toy Maker, who is this wretched little old man with a giant sack on his back that have like doll parts coming out of it. You know, there's plenty of freaky stuff in this game. I mean, mimes are probably the freakiest of all, but anyway.
Yeah.
But you know, that is to say, you can choose from all the 8 characters in almost every other mode except story mode, including they each have a full-on tutorial that teaches you how to use them, which is very handy. There's like 6 different versus modes in this game, and they don't require couch co-op. You can actually just play against the computer. And I didn't really check out all of them, but most of them are just going to be this variation on like a Bomberman versus mode, which is of course what you're going to want, because that's the thrill of Bomberman, is to play it with 4 players.
Yeah.
You know, even the NES game was a 3-player game. Well, the
was
second
it really?
one was. Bomberman 2, yeah. It uses the 4 score to get 3 players.
Why wouldn't they make it 4-player?
I don't know. We never figured it out. But anyways, but BRAWL is 4-player.
Yeah.
So you got 3 friends that want to come over and just play, you know, Bomberman by way of Twisted Metal. That's pretty much what this is. Nice.
So for $10, what do you think of it?
$10. Obviously, your horror people, your folks who like to whip out these kind of games for Halloween, you know, and people just looking for a cheap way to play some Bomberman. Really ought to look into this one. There weren't really any problems with it. I mean, it pretty much delivered on everything that it said it would. I think that the actual, you know, advertising for the game kind of avoids comparing it to another property. So that's what I'm here to tell you, is that this is a really solid, macabre, like essentially a Bomberman clone with a few other features. I hate the word clone. I take that back.
I just call them bomber-style games.
Bomber-style games, yeah. Let's call it Brawlmerman.
Brawlmerman.
Yeah. But I didn't play as the wrestler, so I don't know about that whole straightforward fighting style thing, but I will say that there are some different gameplay modes, including fighting the enemies directly. So it's not just laying bombs down, but that seemed to play a pretty good part of this in the gameplay.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm going to say it's worth it, but just make sure you check it out and see if it's, you know, if it's the kind of creepy stuff that you like. By the way, the game seems to be completely void of like jump scares and things like that. So if you're, you know, a person who's really sensitive to jump scares, this game, I didn't get one. The game's just creepy environment stuff, you know, children singing, stuff like that.
Happy stuff.
Yay.
All right, well, that is it for this episode. Chris, thanks for coming on and chatting about these games. Thanks as well to Royal and Pernell for joining as well. That is it for the show. We're going to wrap things up with some music from the Final Fantasy Mystic Quest remastered soundtrack from Materia Collective.
Yes. Yay.
So we got some bangers coming up on there as well. But
can't wait to hear them.
Chris, do you have any final words to end the show?
Thanks to Discord for functioning when we needed you most.
Don't die. It's cold, bitches.